We recognize this as the video that revealed Edward Snowden to the world.
The public needs to decide whether these programs and policies are right or wrong.
Glenn Greenwald of the Guardian newspaper interviewed the NSA leaker, but the person who videotaped it, who got Greenwald together with Snowden, who's being called the mastermind of this story, is an independent filmmaker not widely known. Her name's Laura Poitras, and she's the subject of an extensive profile in the New York Times Magazine. She spoke at a forum last year at Duke University.
I'm working on things that are really sensitive, and so I have to oftentimes not send emails about what I'm working on.
After Snowden contacted Poitras, the Times Magazine article says, they exchanged encrypted communications. Then Poitras, Greenwald, and Snowden met in that Hong Kong hotel room. Operational security, she dictated all of that, Greenwald's quoted about Poitras. There's a reason she's good at that. Poitras has made explosive documentaries about the war in Iraq and Osama bin Laden's associates. And according to the Times Magazine report, she's been on a travel watch list for several years, repeatedly stopped at U.S. airports, interrogated. She spoke about it in a New York Times documentary.
So it is a bit Kafkaesque to be stopped every time that I travel to the United States and never be told why this is happening.
We tried to contact Laura Poitras. She says she doesn't want to do any interviews before her next film on NSA surveillance comes out. Glenn Greenwald could not speak to us. We couldn't get the NSA to comment on Poitras or on the Times Magazine article. And if you're wondering why there's no insight here from people who know Laura Poitras, well, we tried to interview several academics, filmmakers, analysts who know her. None of them would speak to us. One of them said she wouldn't do it without permission from Poitras, which apparently never came. In call after email after call, we were put off or told no. If you could return my call, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Seemingly a reflection of how private and wary Laura Poitras is. But there was one person. Ben Weisner of the ACLU has given Poitras legal advice.
It's reached the point where this person who does such profoundly important work in America is afraid to live and work here and has moved her operations to another country, which is a sad state of affairs.
Weisner says Poitras' upcoming film on U.S. government surveillance will feature more interviews with Edward Snowden. It's based on years of her reporting on the NSA's programs, he says, and will be very provocative. Contacted by CNN, Edward Snowden's U.S.-based attorney would not comment on our story or the New York Times Magazine report. Wolf.
Brian, there's some other interesting details on her first face-to-face meeting with Snowden, aren't there?
Fascinating details, Wolf. According to this Times Magazine report, Snowden instructed her and Glenn Greenwald to go to a restaurant in Hong Kong back in June. They were supposed to wait until they saw a man carrying a Rubik's Cube and ask him when the restaurant would open. The man would answer their question, but then warn them that the food was bad. This is right out of a spy novel. The report says when the man with the Rubik's Cube arrived, that was Edward Snowden, and they were blown away by how young he was.